By the time I got home that night, the buzzing hadn't stopped. I left my phone face down on the counter, unopened. I didn't want to hear it, not from them, not anymore. That was 5 years into my time at North Axis, but the rot had started long before. It was my second year when Carter showed up. Big new VP hire from some consulting firm in Boston. Fresh haircut, tighter suits than anyone else in the building, and that fake "we're a team" energy that never made it past his own office door. They brought him in to revamp operations. His first move? Weekly strategy briefings with the tech team. I thought it was a good sign. I was wrong. Back then, I'd been working on a tool to predict weather-based shipping delays across major freight corridors. Real-time adjustments to save clients money and cut loss rates. I ran regression models, weather overlays, traffic inputs. It wasn't pretty, but it worked. The day after I emailed the working prototype to Carter, he canceled our weekly meeting. Next thing I hear, he's flying to HQ in Dallas for a board update. 2 days later, a friend from the Texas office sent me a photo of the conference slide. Dynamic Logistics Optimization through Predictive Modeling, presented by VP Carter Vincent. My name was nowhere. I walked straight into his office that Monday. He was behind the glass desk, smiling like we were old college buddies. "You used the weather tool for the board pitch?" I asked. "Yeah, it was great." Big reaction, they're excited. Why wasn't I listed? He leaned back, spinning a pen between his fingers. "You did the math." I framed the vision. I built the thing. He raised his eyebrows. "You want a sticker?" "Look, man, this is how it works. You're sharp. Just keep delivering." Like he was doing me a favor. I stood there, fists tight in my pockets, trying to decide whether to flip his desk or walk out. I walked out. Stupid move. That was just the first time. Over the next year and a half, it became a pattern. I'd spend weeks building something. A route efficiency matrix, a fuel burn estimator, a dynamic scheduling dashboard, and somehow it would show up 2 weeks later in a slide deck with Carter's name on it and some buzzword-riddled explanation that completely missed the point. He always had some spin. I shaped the messaging. "You're too deep in the code. I'm just connecting dots, yours included." And every time, I swallowed it. I told myself, play the long game. People notice. Real value shows itself. It was bull. No one noticed, or if they did, they didn't care. 16 months in, after my 6th project had gone ghost, I finally walked into HR with a folder. I laid it out. Time-stamped code pushes, email threads, meeting invites, version logs. Everything. The HR rep, Marcy, some cheerful middle manager with a desk full of potted succulents, just nodded along. "Well, if you created it during company hours, using company tools, technically it's North Axis property. Attributions at leadership discretion, I repeated. "You mean Carter." She smiled like I'd just said something funny. "I get it. Recognition's important. I'd recommend you loop in your supervisor directly and try to find a collaborative solution." "I am the supervisor." "Oh." Her face dropped. "Well, I'll file this." "You're welcome to follow up." In 2 weeks, I walked out of that office and went straight to the back lot, sat in my car with the AC blasting, and just stared at the wheel for a long time. It hit me then. This place didn't run on merit, it ran on politics. And guys like me, we were just gears in the machine, disposable. Still, I didn't quit. I kept my head down, kept building. Not because I believed in the company, that illusion was dead, but because part of me still believed someone would notice. That maybe if I did one more big thing, it'd finally break through. Stupid. But I wasn't done learning that lesson yet. By mid-January, I stopped going out on weekends. While my buddies were drinking IPAs or dragging their kids to soccer games, I was holed up in my spare bedroom, eating microwave burritos and running simulations on a logistics model I wasn't even sure anyone would look at. I'd figured out a way to reroute regional freight paths using client-specific benchmarks and predictive demand clusters. It wasn't flashy, but the numbers didn't lie. If implemented, the thing could shave 25% off total delivery costs for at least 6 of our top 10 clients. I kept it quiet. No shared drives, no email threads, just me and my whiteboard. I built it on personal time, used my own software stack, tracked every damn version on a separate offline repo. By the end of the quarter, it was solid. I booked myself a 10-minute slot in the upcoming strategy meeting, sent Carter the framework just to loop him in. The day of the meeting, I showed up early, folder in hand, fresh haircut, black button down. First time in a while, I'd even bothered to look sharp. I was standing outside the conference room when Carter walked up, latte in one hand, Bluetooth headset in the other. "Hey," he said, "I saw your slides. Good stuff. Thanks. I figured we could lead with it." "Actually," he cut in, "I folded it into my deck. I'll touch on it in section 4. Keep things moving." I stared at him. I was supposed to present. He gave me that calm, smug smile. "Look, we're tight on time. And you know how your stuff gets too into the weeds. Don't worry. I've got it." He walked in without waiting for an answer. I sat in the back corner and watched as Carter blew through his slides. When he got to mine, he skipped the core logic entirely, mumbled something about back-end routing options, and clicked right past it. Nobody blinked, nobody asked. Just another Tuesday. The next 3 weeks dragged by with radio silence. Then came the intern showcase, some half-baked corporate tradition where new hires pitched fresh ideas to leadership. I didn't plan to go, but my coworker Rachel pinged me. "You're going to want to see this." I walked in 10 minutes late and nearly tripped over my own feet. There was Chad, the intern, same guy who once asked me what cache memory was. Standing at the front of the room, smiling wide, presenting my model, not a copy, not a variation, my model, same structure, same projected margins. Just with a glossy new name, FlexFlow 2.0, and a dumbed-down diagram that looked like it was made in PowerPoint by a 6th grader. Chad got a standing ovation. A week later, they gave him a full-time contract and a starting salary higher than mine. I didn't say a word. I walked out of the room, straight to my car, drove home, and didn't turn on the lights when I walked in. That night, I stood in front of my whiteboard, covered in dry erase marker, post-it notes, and worn-out ideas. And I just stared. I'd kept waiting for someone to do the right thing, for merit to win. It never did. I capped the marker, erased everything, and started fresh. Enough silence. This time, I built lean, smarter. No corporate bloat, no legacy junk. I stripped every tool down to its bones and rewired it to actually work, not just look good on a slide. A predictive logistics core with adaptive learning, something Carter wouldn't even know how to explain, let alone design. Every hour outside of work went into that thing. Nights, weekends, lunch breaks in my truck, sketching interface flow on napkins. By the end of the first month, I had a working prototype and a Google Drive folder named Nexus_core with 5 subfolders labeled Proof, Stolen, Logs, Pitch, Team. First was Shay, senior engineer. She'd built the real-time delivery alert system Carter took credit for last year, left right after. I sent her a message with 3 words. "Still building?" She replied within minutes. Always. Then Ramon, client manager. Had a habit of questioning Carter's numbers in meetings. Suddenly let go for budget reasons, I called him. He didn't even hesitate. By week 3, I'd roped in 6 people. One more than I planned. Every single one of them had a story, a project buried, a win hijacked, a review rewritten to downplay their value. They weren't just bitter. They were damn good. I called them my bench, but I knew we needed more than anger and talent. I started logging everything, every commit, every timestamp, every email I'd ever sent about the FlexFlow prototype, and every one that never got answered. I backed up meeting invites, side-by-side feature comparisons, prototype dates. I had years of proof, tucked away where no one could reach it. Then I made a move I'd been too scared to try before. A friend from college had gone VC, early-stage logistics and tech. Last I checked, she was managing a $40 million fund out of Chicago. I sent her a deck. No logos, no name, just the model and the numbers. She booked a video call the next day. "This is clean," she said, flipping through the slides. "Tight use case, real margins. But no offense, you don't strike me as a CEO. I don't need to be one," I said. "I just need someone to believe I can lead a team." She raised an eyebrow. "Who's your team?" I dropped the link in chat. 7 profiles. Engineer, ops lead, UX, data, sales, all veterans, all signed on if funding landed. She scanned it in silence. How'd you get these people? I leaned back. Same way I got here. Nobody listened to them either. A week later, the term sheet hit my inbox. Early stage funding, full runway, 10-month burn rate with flexibility. I signed it that night. 3 days after that, I set up an LLC and leased 2 floors in a nondescript building near the airport under a shell name, Core Ops Management. No company signage, no press, nothing public, not yet. We started building it out with folding tables and coffee from the gas station across the street. I kept the lights low, the doors locked, and the code flowing. Everything had to be airtight. No leaks, no mistakes. I still showed up to work at North Axis every day, smiled through meetings, took notes while Carter bragged about his mentorship pipeline. I knew what was coming, but they didn't. We weren't building a startup, we were loading a missile. The morning of the awards, I ironed my shirt twice. Not because I cared about the event, but because I knew what it was about to set off. And I wanted to look every person in that room in the eye when the cracks started. Chad's name was on the program. Innovation Award winner. FlexFlow 2.0, the same model I wrote. The one Carter buried, then recycled through that intern with a haircut and a family name. I showed up to the same Hyatt as before. Same beige carpets. Same fake smiles, same setup. Melissa was waiting at the door, clipboard in hand, headset in her ear like she was running a damn presidential campaign. She looked me up and down. You're not on the attendance list. I'm aware, I said. You can wait outside, she added, just like last time. That smug calm in her voice, like she thought she was doing me a favor. I nodded once, stepped back, and pulled out my phone. One tap. The email was already queued. Subject line, resignation and release, effective immediately. Attached, 7 signed resignation letters, 5 client transition notices, and 1 press release with embargo lifted, announcing the launch of Nexus Core Logistics, including 2 patent claim numbers and 3 named innovations linked to me, Shay, and Ramon. I hit send. The phone buzzed in my hand within seconds. I glanced past Melissa. Inside, a few people were pulling out their phones. The noise started small, the kind of murmur that comes right before a fire alarm. Melissa looked confused. What did you just... I didn't answer. I walked away, calm, steady, past the security table, past the valet stand, and into the garage where I'd parked on the 2nd level. By the time I reached my truck, my phone had already gone full meltdown. Carter called twice. HR sent 3 emails in under 4 minutes. The CEO himself, someone who hadn't said my name out loud in 2 years, left a voicemail asking if I could talk quickly before things spiral. Too late. I tossed the phone on the passenger seat. I was about to start the engine when I heard footsteps, fast ones, coming up behind me. I turned. Alan, the VP over strategic partnerships, the only person who'd ever once told me, "You're better than your title," was half jogging toward me. Hey, can we talk?" he called out. I leaned on the doorframe. About what? You're making a mistake. I raised an eyebrow. You sure about that? We need you, he said, catching his breath. You know we do. You've always been a driver here. You had me, I said. You watched them bury me for 5 years and said nothing. He looked down, lips tight. This is fixable. No, I said. It's not. I climbed in, slammed the door, and backed out before he could say anything else. The drive to the new office was quiet. I didn't play music, didn't touch the AC, just let the silence ride with me. We'd leased a basic space in a dull gray building that looked like a dentist's office from the outside. But when I pulled into the lot, I saw Ramon's car, then Shay's, then the rest. Inside, the lights were already on, whiteboards were up, monitors were plugged in. Someone had brought coffee and donuts. I walked through the door. Nexus Core Logistics was live. We didn't even finish our 2nd pot of coffee before the first call came in. Private number. I let it ring once, twice. Then I answered. Hello? This is Everett Langston, he said. Chairman of the board. I'd only seen his name on announcements and quarterly memos. I believe we need to speak. I didn't say anything. Just let him keep talking. I'd prefer to keep this off the legal track if we can. There's clearly been some miscommunication. I leaned against the conference table. Shay looked up from her laptop. I gave her a quick nod. She hit record. You walked out with proprietary frameworks, Langston went on. That's a violation of IP agreements and NDAS. You're exposing yourself, teams, and your team to litigation. I kept my voice level. We built it outside your firewall. On our own time, on our own equipment. None of it touches your code base. There's a gray area, he said, and I'm sure you understand how long discovery can drag out. I smiled. Your own legal department passed on the FlexFlow prototype 3 months ago? I've got the email. They said it wasn't defensible enough to patent. There was a long pause on the line. Then his tone shifted, softer, more reasonable. Look, none of us want this to escalate. Everyone makes mistakes, but we're willing to talk. I'm not. You built something valuable, he said. I respect that. And I'm willing to offer a serious discussion. No tricks. What would it take to bring you back into the fold? I looked around the room. 7 people, wide awake, focused, ready. I tightened my grip on the phone. There's nothing you can offer, I said. We'd match your funding. More, if needed. I'm not for sale, I said. Neither are they. He went quiet again. You're making this personal. No, I said. You did that a long time ago. Then I hung up. Shay exhaled. So that's how it's gonna be. They'll hit the press. Spin it like we stole something, I said. Let them try, Ramon muttered, dragging his chair closer to the table. We spent the next 8 hours locking everything down. Patent filing confirmations, employment contracts, clean room documentation. Every piece of data had to be airtight. By midnight, the whole team was still there. Laptops open, folders flying between screens, code audits rolling line by line. The air was thick with takeout containers and tension, but nobody left. We knew what was coming, and we weren't blinking. By 7 a.m., the press release was live. Nexus Core Logistics announces launch, backed by veteran freight innovators and client support. We named names, claimed our patents, included side-by-sides of what we built, and what got stolen. It spread fast, faster than I thought it would. Within the hour, my inbox was on fire. Trade blogs picked it up first, then a regional business paper. By 9:30, someone sent me a screenshot from CNBC, a breaking ticker at the bottom of the screen. North Axis exec team hit with resignations amid IP drama. Their stock dipped by 11% before lunch. We streamed the press conference from our new office, all of us huddled around a monitor with half-eaten breakfast sandwiches in hand. North Axis had thrown their CEO in front of a podium, blinking hard under the stage lights. He fumbled through a statement about unauthorized departures and retaining institutional knowledge. Not once did he mention why 7 top performers walked out in one morning. And then came the kicker, a line I couldn't make up if I tried. We remain confident in the innovations led by our former intern, Chad. I snorted so hard I choked on my coffee. 2 hours later, Carter stepped down. The internal memo leaked within minutes. Pursuing other opportunities. Sure. After that, the real flood began. Client after client sent us meeting requests. Some of them had been fed up for years and finally had an excuse to jump ship. Others were just curious. Either way, they came to us. By Friday, we were onboarding 3 major contracts, 2 regional shipping giants and 1 international partner I'd been chasing for years, but could never get a meeting with. They reached out to me. Shay printed out the contracts and taped them to the wall like trophies. It should have felt like revenge, but it didn't. It felt like finally. Late that night, I was clearing out my inbox when I saw a name that made me freeze. Chad. Subject line, didn't know. I'm sorry. I clicked. It was 3 paragraphs of half apology, half confession. He claimed he didn't know what was happening, that Carter told him the model came from internal R&D, that he only realized it was mine after he got the award, that he respected my work and never meant to take credit. He asked if we could talk. I didn't answer. I didn't forward it. I didn't save it. I deleted it without reading the last sentence. This wasn't about Chad. It never was. It was about a system that chewed up people like me and spit out guys like him with plaques in their hands. It was about everyone who stayed quiet. I wasn't one of them anymore. 6 months later, we were in the middle of a Tuesday sprint review when the front desk buzzed. Shay answered it, turned toward me, and said, "You're gonna want to come down." I stepped into the lobby, and there he was, Vincent Carter, suit still perfect, tie still too tight, fake humility all over his face like he just walked off a stage. Didn't think you'd show your face here, I said, arms crossed. I figured you'd appreciate directness, he said, holding up a sleek black folder. I'm not here to play games. I didn't invite him upstairs. We sat in the conference room near the front window. I didn't offer him coffee. He laid out the folder like he was presenting a wedding ring. Acquisition proposal, he said. Full buyout. Clean terms, competitive valuation. I flipped it open. The number on the second page actually made me blink. High 8 figures. More than I'd expected. Definitely more than they could afford 6 months ago. And, he added, there's a separate offer in there. Chief Innovation Officer. You'd lead the whole tech arm. Total autonomy, new leadership, new policies. It's not the same place anymore. I didn't say anything. Just let him keep selling. We're serious. We've implemented major structural changes. Creator credits on every release. IP protections, leadership coaching. You were right. Things had to change. And they are. I looked at him. 43%. He blinked. What? That's how much your stock has dropped. You didn't change because it was right. You changed because the bleeding wouldn't stop. He sat back, quiet now. I kept flipping through the pages. The offer was solid. Financially, it was life-altering, and part of me knew he expected me to jump on it, to finally get the title, the power, the respect they used to pretend I didn't deserve. But the idea of putting my name back under theirs? I closed the folder. I'll bring the offer to my team, I said. We'll review it as a group. His shoulders relaxed a little. But me? I added, standing up. I'm not coming back. Not under any title. Not for any salary. Why not? He asked, voice flat now. Because I built this place from the ground up, I said. Nobody handed it to me. Nobody picked me. I earned this. He tried one more angle. You could scale faster under us. Global logistics. Immediate reach. Then maybe you should have thought of that before giving an intern my job. His jaw clenched, but he didn't argue. I walked him to the door. Before he left, he turned and said, You'll think about it, though? I'll read it, I said. But I'm not going backwards. He nodded once, then walked out into the parking lot. I stayed by the glass door, watching until his car disappeared. Then I turned and headed back upstairs, back to the team, back to work. I didn't need their money. We were already building something bigger than they ever understood.